Hello everyone, how's it going? My name is Hacky, and today I'm going to be going over how to multibox in Hordes.io. Hordes.io is a browser-based MMORPG, similar to the likes of World of Warcraft, just minus any questing and like lore and shit. It's super fun. I've had a blast playing it, not multiboxing and multiboxing. So shout out to Deck and the whole Hordes.io team. You guys have done a really phenomenal job with this game. And I honestly am looking forward for what's to come. I think you guys have a really good sense of direction and have been, good things on the way. So with that being said, let's get into the content here. First thing we need to look at is the terms of service. Super important. You are going to get people in game that have not read the terms of service and are going to see you and are going to immediately think that you are breaking the rules, when in fact it is them that have not actually read the terms of service. So let's go ahead and read this together real quick, and then we can kind of move on. Offensive behavior is expanded, defined, and judged by the Hordes.io staff at their discretion. Ding, 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 at their discretion. Mild cursing, mild insults, and mild multiboxing can be permitted by the contextual judgment of the Hordes.io staff. What does this mean? This means that basically it's totally up to the Hordes.io staff and how they're feeling for a particular day as to whether or not they will ban you. You could potentially get two different outcomes from two different Hordes.io staff members, both given the same situation. Okay, so you have to think about that for a second. You could get two different outcomes from two different Hordes.io staff members when given the same situation. Okay? I personally don't like that at all. I wish they would take a harder stance with this and say, give us a specific number. You can have as many as you want. You can only have 3. I really don't care. I wish they would just give us a consistent number here, because they've somehow managed to create a rule that not only sucks for players, but I feel like sucks for them as well, because now they have to kind of worry about whether or not, if they care about being fair, I feel like they have to kind of worry about the judgments and the decisions of past staff members if they want to be consistent. If not, whatever. I don't know. If you want to work with me on this, Hordes.io staff, I'm more than happy to come up with something that works for everyone, because I don't want to get in trouble with this. I think most people that are going to multibox also don't want to get in trouble with this. Let's work together on something. I tried asking about this specifically in their Discord. Is 5 clients okay? Whatever. Is it overdoing it? And I was basically just redirected to the TOS again. At their discretion is basically what I was told. It's at their discretion. So I don't know. It's not up to me. It's up to the Hordes.io staff. So, but again, multiboxing is allowed, but it has to be mild multiboxing. What is mild multiboxing? I don't know. And to be honest, the Hordes.io staff don't really have a consistent definition either. So that's pretty much where we're at with that. Let's get into the prerequisites. What you need to get going. You need HotkeyNet. This is the third-party program we're going to be using. We're going to be using it to write our own macros and all sorts of good stuff. We're going to be doing a little coding. You're going to need Firefox. I tried to get this to work with Chrome. I could not get it to work with Chrome. If it works for you, that's awesome. Tell me how you got it to work in the comments. I would be happy to, maybe make an updated tutorial with Chrome or something along those lines. You need a text editor. Notepad will work just fine. In this tutorial, you're going to be seeing me work with VS Code. That's just because I program other shit, and that's what I use. You're going to need CSS Override. I mean, this is more optional, but I think it's a good idea. CSS Override, it's an add-on for Firefox. It's going to basically let you save custom CSS for a particular URL, and it will apply that CSS every time you visit it. We're going to want to do some stuff like remove the minimap and remove the 17 different Twitch accounts that are streaming at any given time, and remove some of the social media buttons because those are really just good, and chat as well, because those just kind of get in the way. And when you're browser window is so small and there's only so much screen real estate available, we want to get rid of the fluff. So we just remove all those. And I can show you I'm going to be showing you the CSS to do that. And then also you obviously need multiple email accounts. I strongly recommend using Gmail, but you may run into some limitations creating more than a certain number of accounts. I don't know how many it is, but after some point, you have to provide a phone number when you're making your email account. At some point, Gmail gets mad and is like, you're creating too many accounts under this phone number. So hit somebody else up with a different phone number, make some more Gmail accounts, yada yada, all that jazz. Okay, let's get into the code. I'm not going to be going over how to install these things. I trust you guys can figure out how to download things, especially given all the download links in the description. If you can't figure out how to download this stuff, maybe just put something in the comments and someone will help you. But this is kind of like an idiot test. If you can't figure out how to install this stuff, then maybe just don't bother with multiboxing. It's going to be too hard for you. Let's get into the code. All the script kiddies are like, oh boy, here comes the code. Here comes the code. All you script kiddies, get your fingers ready and planted on Control-C and Control-V, because it's about to get fucking hot up in here. Okay, what's going on here? So this is the code that we have written for HotkeyNet. It is surprisingly a text file. That is what they use as their extension. It is a tagging language that looks very similar. Not very, but somewhat similar to HTML. And yeah, that's about all I can tell you with the language. It is very well documented. The language has been phenomenally documented. There's a whole lot of steps in here. I read through a lot of this stuff. I followed all the instructions here, and I have a much better feel for the language. I strongly encourage you guys do too. If you want to make a more complicated. Yeah, the last thing I want to see is the comment section filled with, oh, can you make a thing that does, oh, can you make a thing that does that? Oh, can you change it a little bit for this hotkey? No, I'm not going to do that for you. Come here, read how to do it yourself, and make that shit happen. Don't just be a script kiddie. Learn how to code yourself. You actually make a lot of money doing it. Take my word for it. Anyways, so yeah, a lot of documentation, really cool stuff. Highly recommend looking at it. What is this code doing? We are creating 5 different labels, one for each client we are going to be controlling. They're called car1, car2, car3, whatever. This label takes the following parameters: the name of the label, where it's going to be sending the commands to. In this case, we're doing local. HotkeyNet actually has the ability to send hotkeys over any computer in the network. So you could actually, if there was a different computer that you had on your network and they had HotkeyNet installed on it and you had a server set up and everything, you could actually put the IP of that computer in here and it'll send stuff to that computer. Really cool stuff, really powerful stuff. We're going to put the send mode here. This took me a super long time to figure out. Not super long, but it took me like a couple hours because I was doing a bunch of experimentation with all these different send modes. I had a solution that was partially working using send win, and I didn't want to give up on it. But it involved like alt tabbing to basically like different windows, and it sucked. It wasn't good. So anyways, it took me a long time to find out the right send mode. You want send win X, and then lastly, the name of the window it's going to be sending it to. So the name of the label, where it's sending it to, how it's sending it, and who is it sending it to, right? So 5 different labels, 5 different clients. We have to create a hotkey that is going to rename the windows for us. The windows do not come automatically named as H1, H2, H3, H4. We have to rename them, and renaming them manually sucks. So what do? We make a hotkey that renames them for us. Once you have your 5 windows of hordes open, you press Control-C, and it will automatically rename all these windows to H1, H2, H3, H4, whatever. So that's going to rename all the windows for us. You have to do this first, and I'll demonstrate that. Then we have our actual ability hotkeys. I've set those up here. You can add as many as you want in here, and you can check the documentation on HotkeyNet as far as like what are the different things that you have available. But this is basically saying when I press 1, send to each one of these labels the key that I just pressed. So if I press 1, each one of these labels should receive 1. That's basically it. If I press 4, each one of these labels should receive 4. Trigger is just like basically whatever you pressed. It's just a variable for whatever you pressed. Some nice syntactical sugar there. And then some more syntactical sugar here. They have actually defined a movement hotkey, which is basically just like a special hotkey that functions a little bit differently. If I press W, and they go over it in their documentation actually. You can look here. Right, to make characters move in games, you need a special type of hotkey that continues acting as long as you're holding down the trigger, right? These people thought of everything. Phenomenal. Love it. And they go over all the documentation here. They show you the easy way for making labels and all this stuff, and this is basically what I've done on my own here. So we've created our labels, character 1, character 2, character 3, character 4, 5, whatever. If we press W, continue to basically have that held down while I do. So that's it. 21 lines of code, and you are up and running. That is all you need to have a basic multi-box in Hordes.io. I know, it's pretty crazy. HotkeyNet or HotkeyNet is a really powerful program. I'm so glad it's free. Fantastic stuff. And then here's the CSS that you're gonna need. Not really that interesting. You could figure this out yourself if you just had it open. You could like I did, like you just open up Hordes.io, go in game, inspect element, just find the things in the game and just set their display to none. So you can just really copy paste this if you want. I don't really give a shit. So yeah, that's the code. This will be in the description so you can copy paste it as fast as you can. Let's get into multi-boxing, the actual setup. The cream of the crop, the creme de la creme. Multi-boxing time. Okay, so after you have done all your setup, you have created all of your accounts, you got everything downloaded, you're good to go. You have added the CSS Override extension to Firefox. We can go ahead, let's add that CSS first, and then we'll get into the accounts and stuff. So up here, let's see which one of these is good. Up here, right, so I'm hovering over, let's see. Here we go. Up here, there is these three, these two little arrows. You want to click on this, and you can't see this right now because of how I'm streaming, but you want to click on this, and then you want to click on CSS Override. You can't see this, but when you click on this, it should be an option here. If it's not an option here, then you don't have the extension installed, or you need to restart Firefox. Once you have opened up CSS Override, you're going to click on Open Style Editor, and it's going to take you here, right? Again, you didn't see anything I just clicked on because it doesn't appear with how I'm streaming this, but once you have CS Override installed, it'll appear. So it'll say Editing, Hordes.io. This is the CSS that you want to just basically copy paste in here. Anytime it opens up Hordes.io, this CSS is going to get applied. And it's super easy to toggle, super easy to turn on and off. Okay, great. So we have Hordes.io open, and the CSS is good to go. Let's go into HotkeyNet now and start doing some hotkeys here. The first one we're going to want to do is this Control-C hotkey, which is going to rename all of the windows for us. So first things first, let's go ahead and load the script. You're going to want to click on Load Script, and then open up movement.txt or whatever you named it, wherever you have saved that HotkeyNet script that I linked. Go ahead and load that. You can hit reload if you want. It'll tell you down here that 23 definitions were loaded. That's great. It may also say something about an auto exec error. You can ignore that. It doesn't really mean anything. If you want to get rid of it, you can go to Options, Settings, and then it's going to say Execute Command Automatically. You can just delete the part that says auto exec. But again, not a big deal. Okay. Once that is good, you can click this checkbox to turn your hotkeys on or off. It would be great if there was a hotkey to do this, ironically, but there is not. Or if there is, I don't know about it. And if you could comment about it, that would be phenomenal. So you have to click to turn your hotkeys on or off. So we're going to go ahead and turn ours on, and then we're going to hit Control-C. So you can see that it has now, and it shows you the output of what happens down here. So it can say, okay, completed. We found the window Hordes.io Mozilla Firefox, and we have renamed it to H1. And it did that 5 times. So it found each of these and it renamed all of them. Great. At this point, actually, let's turn this off real quick. Let's go ahead and log in to each one of our accounts now. I'm not going to be showing you guys the login phase because, to be honest, I don't even really want my email to be out there. But yeah, you're going to want to come here and basically log in at this point. Let's do this one, and I'll show you guys. So when you hit sign in with Google, you are going to want all of your email accounts to be listed here. But to do that, because we're using Firefox and we're not using Chrome, it's a little bit tricky. What you're going to have to do is go to Gmail. Up at the top right, after you've signed in with one of your accounts, right? So you sign in with one of your accounts, you're looking at your inbox. After you have signed in, go to the top right, and it'll say, go to the top right, click on your portrait or your guy's little avatar picture, and then it'll say add account in the dropdown. Click on add account and add all your other Gmail accounts here. So that way in Gmail, you should be able to like click on the avatar of any one of them and very easily switch to the other ones. Okay. Once that is done, you will be able to basically do that same switching here. So when you hit sign in with Google, you should be able to see all of the Gmail accounts that you have created listed out here. That'll make it very easy for you when you're logging in. And you're definitely going to want to do that. I actually don't know of another way to do it. You have to have all of your accounts listed here. And if I explained that poorly, feel free to reach out in the comments. But basically, you want to just log in with all your accounts in Gmail first before you come here. Okay, awesome. So you can see that these are all on now. And you can see also, if you notice, the mini map is there, chat is there, the Twitch streamers are there. Let's go ahead and like remove those so we can actually see what's going on the screen. So I'm gonna go to CSS Override, turn it on. There we go. Sorry, let's just run that again. Okay, there we go. I think that's working now. Good. So I turned the custom CSS on in this top left here, right? So you can see how, look, there's no chat, there's no mini map, there's no Twitch links and stuff. I'm not in a party on this guy yet, so you would see the party still appear. Let's go ahead and turn it off on this guy next. CSS Override on, right? Boom, all that stuff is gone. Great. That's exactly what we want. CSS Override, turn that on. CSS Override, turn that on. CSS Override, turn that on. Phenomenal. Great. So now we can actually see what the hell's going on. Let's go ahead and move these guys. So a little bit more background too. You'll notice, actually, let's go here for 1 second. If you look here, you'll notice for the movement hotkeys, right? We have WASD, space, left arrow key, and right arrow key. The up and down arrow keys on your keyboard will actually also make your guy go forwards and backwards. But the reason that we don't have them mapped here is so that way you can use them to control individual clients, right? That way you can leave your hotkeys on, but if you have your mouse over one screen, right? If you have your mouse hovered into one client, you can press up and down. Oh, sorry, let me go in. Sorry, let me switch back to the game. Right? I'm pressing the up arrow and the down arrow right now, and you can see it's not pressing anything. So this gives me like a really easy way to individually move these clients without me having to turn my hotkeys off. Very important. Movement is super hard is definitely not easy when you're doing this. So any little thing you can find to get your movement set up will be good. So let's go ahead and move these guys. Right. I like this formation, to be honest with you, like the shaman in the middle and then the mages around the outside. I think that's like the best one. Okay, great. So now the moment we've all been waiting for, the multiboxing. If I press space, what's going to happen? All of them jump at the same time. Isn't that cool? I'm looking around right now because honestly I don't want to deal with any GMs. So that's it. I mean, look at this. Like, watch, we can move with all them like a little crab, kind of. See that? Look at that shit. That's fucking sick. Then we can come over here. We can try to attack something. We can turn, right? All of them are turning simultaneously. Can run forward. I think these guys are a little bit faster than I am. So you can already imagine movement is very difficult. It is very tricky. It is not easy at all. Movement is the hardest part about multiboxing. With no follow functionality native to the game, it is incredibly difficult. Look at them, they're all over the place. So you have to figure out a way for movement that's gonna work for you. What I like to do is, I like to take my shaman and make him full screen and just have them on one main window. And then my other dudes can just be in smaller form like this, as you can see on a side window. And that way it's just like, you know, all I have to look at is the shaman, and it's very easy for me to see who's not in line and, you know, and who isn't, or who is in line and who isn't. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back, because right now we're just dying. So you can notice they all go back at the same time. Pretty cool. Let's turn the hotkeys off. Let's just go ahead and have them run around. Okay, so we have covered the hotkey net code. We've covered the CSS. I told you guys how to get your accounts set up. The only things that are left now, let's talk about the composition of your party, movement, targeting, PvP, and just a couple of the things that I've noticed. For your party setup, like what classes should you put in your, you know, in your build? It's totally up to you, right? But you must, honestly, this is a must-have. You must have at least one shaman in your group. As I've already shown you, running around with all of these different characters simultaneously is practically impossible. It's so hard to do. So what you need to do is you need to get yourself a shaman, get into your spirit form, go wherever it is you're trying to go, and then summon the whole party. If you are trying to run everyone there individually, you're gonna have a terrible time. It's not really possible. It's not feasible. It's just too hard. With no native follow functionality, you're gonna have a tough time. I actually, hold on, give me a sec. I came up with an algorithm for a non-native follow, functionality in the game, involving like nameplates and like kind of positioning and just like the basic ass like y equals mx plus b shit. That would kind of like position, like you designate one person as a leader who doesn't really care about their positioning, and then you designate all the other people as followers, and you can like set up their position and try to do some like fancy stuff with like screen captures and like you know, basically drawing a line between your name and the follower's name, and then trying to position yourself accordingly. I could realistically write something that would do that, and then, you know, like not follow, but maybe like bring everyone back in formation. I could do that, but I think that's against, and what would be cool about it is it would not go into any, like, I don't have to read any payloads or decrypt any like shit. Like, I don't have to know the player's coordinates. I don't have to know the player's heading or any of that shit. I could do that, but it's against TOS in my eyes, because I would realistically press one button and then it would press like 17 different buttons on each client to get them repositioned. So that's a no-no. You want to basically have it one-to-one. So no following. Anyways, movement, very difficult, as I've already demonstrated. You should have one shaman, and that will help you a lot with your movement. You just have the shaman go where you want, and then you summon the whole party. Parties that actually don't have to move a lot are probably the best in this case. A bunch of warriors would probably be really good, because you can just literally just pop armor and not have to move. Mages are also good because they also have ice shield, which is good. Targeting, also super difficult. Targeting is nearly impossible unless they're in the same, unless like your mob that you're interested in is really close to you. They'll always target the closest one first, but if there's stuff that's like not super close by, see how they all just targeted different things? Oh, Woheim's not even targeting anything. Let me, and you can always do this too if your window naming got a little bit messed up. Actually, let's see. Give me a second here. Oh, that's weird. Wonder why Woheim isn't doing anything. Huh. Interesting. All right. Well, anyways, yeah, targeting is very. Oh, maybe he's just not close enough to any targets. That's probably why. Targeting, very difficult. If I press tab right now, see how they're all on different things? This one's on a grub, this one's on a training dummy, this one's on a grub, this one's on a mature grub, this one's on a grub, this one's on a training dummy. Okay, it's all over the place. So if you're fighting a bunch of mobs and a player comes up and decides to gank you, they're going to have a very easy time shitting on you. Like, you're not going to, unless you're going to have to manually go over and click on the player on each one of your clients, and then start attacking. There's no way you can just press one button and target the right thing, which I also thought of writing, and that would be way easier to write. Like, have everyone synchronize on the same target. That would be way easier to write than non-native following. But again, I feel like that would be against TOS because I would have to, again, do like screen captures and like do a bunch of different shit. So not down to do that. Anyways, so targeting is difficult. PvP is also very difficult, if not impossible. You will not be able to queue. Let me invite everybody to the party and I'll show you why. I'll show you exactly why. Get my boy Ice Dima up here. I love the random names, they're so good. Okay, so Woheim, and I think your Gizmo. Okay, we'll queue into one right now, and then this will basically be the end of it. Let's go ahead and queue. When you queue for PvP, I don't fully understand how this works under the hood, but if I had to guess, at some point it has to make some sort of extra authenticated request, and there is an issue with the authentication that basically prevents all 5 of these accounts from joining at once. The only account that's going to be able to join is the last one that you logged in with, because I think that's the last account that gets their authentication cookie set. Here, let's just do this. So you can see that actually one of these is this like not, there we go. Now you can see it. So basically only one of these actually logged in. 4 of them did not. So you would have to, in the time that it's taking for this one to tick down, you would have to like try to hit back twice, and then see, and then this one gets messed up again, the one that was already logged in, and like it's a nightmare. It's basically a nightmare. You would basically have to re-authenticate with all 5 of them in the time it takes for it to count down, and that's definitely, and sometimes in the process of you trying to re-authenticate, you can mess up already authenticated ones. It's a fucking nightmare, and I just don't recommend doing it. Also, I feel like PvPing and multiboxing is kind of scummy, so I wouldn't do it. I just use it for PvE. But anyways, yeah, that's it for this tutorial. I hope this has been helpful for you. Leave a like, leave a comment if you thought it was cool, leave a comment if you thought it sucked. Inevitably, there are going to be people that are not going to like me for having made this video, but I would just argue that I feel like I've done my due diligence showcasing the terms of service and trying to showcase the right way to multibox. People are gonna multibox regardless. This tutorial is gonna come out regardless anyways. Somebody's gonna do it. I feel like it may as well be someone who is willing to go over, the right way how to do it. So that's all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.